evening, everyone. Welcome back to the Astro Imaging channel. We've got another great show for you tonight. We've got Salvatore Iovene is here with us to talk about updates to AstroBin. But before we get into Salvatore's presentation, I did want to just remind everyone about our TAIC workshop that we have coming up. And the deadline, well, we've got the show scheduled for March 31. And let me just quickly pull up our website here and show that. Share here. All right, so this is on the website, the TAIC workshop link here, and that'll take you to the page where we have all the previous workshops, and then of course the most recent one here, which is M101. We've got some really amazing data from Eric's 20-inch plane wave out at the SRO in California, and he's actually even got some data with the supernova as well. So really unique opportunity to process some data that of the quality that a lot of folks just don't normally get. And so we've got just a couple of weeks left. We're asking the deadline for submission on that to have your work in by March 17th. So a little bit of time left, not too much. Really, that's 2 weeks from today. So head on over there, download that, work it up, and send something in, and hopefully we can get you on the show. So let me stop sharing. All right, so and that brings us then to tonight's presentation. And as I mentioned, we've got Salvatore Iovene, and he's actually been nice enough to join us all the way from Switzerland, where it's 3:30 in the morning. So Salvatore is the owner and developer of AstroBin, and we're all users and supporters of AstroBin, and it really is the premier website for sharing your astrophotography and getting inspiration about targets that you might want to pursue. So we're excited to hear about new developments to AstroBin and where it's headed in the future. So Salvatore, are you ready?
Hey, Patrick.
All right.
Thank you very much for the introduction. Yeah, I'm ready.
Go ahead.
How are you, everybody? Thanks for having me, TAIC. I'm glad to be here again. Excuse my bed here. As Patrick said, it's 3:30 in the morning. So I woke up for this, and I'm just going to go back to bed as soon as we're done, surely. I prepared some slides just to help me guide through the presentation so that I remember what I'm talking about. Let me present. It's coming up. All right, can you see that? Can you see my slides?
Looks good.
All right, cool. It's just going to go through a few things, talking about some recent updates in the last few years, let's say a couple of years. Just going to touch on the most impactful things that happened like feature-wise, and maybe mention a few lesser-known features that maybe not everybody knows about. Okay, so I'm just going to briefly touch and say a few words about me, about AstroBin for anybody who doesn't know, and then just go straight to the recent updates and the lesser-known features. So who is Mr. AstroBin? That's me. Hi, everybody. My name is Salvatore Iovene. I'm from Italy originally. I currently live in Switzerland since 2018. I'm a software engineer by trade. So that's the first thing that I would say I identify myself with. I have been since maybe I was a little kid in a way, because I started with computer programming when I was 9 years old. And then it's just something that I never stopped doing. And it's been a passion for me and then a job over the years. When I was young, I picked up astronomy as a hobby as well. And I'm very, very glad that today I can put these things that have, make me passionate. I put them together into something that makes a living for me and my family. So I'm very fortunate from that point of view. This is the first ever astrophotograph that I shot. In a way, this picture is very tightly related to the history of AstroBin. This was 2010. I was on my honeymoon. We were in France, and one of the nights we were in this hotel, and it was very dark. It was in the countryside of France, and it was super dark. And I just started taking pictures with my phone. And then I don't really remember if I knew about stacking or anything, but maybe, I don't know, instinctively, I realized that I could do that. So I took a bunch of pictures, and then I went home. When I realized that I could stack them, I downloaded Deep Sky Stacker, and that's the result. So yeah, that's how I started, because when I was younger, I had an interest in astronomy, but not in astrophotography. But then when this kind of clicked with me that I could take pictures, when we came back from the honeymoon, I ordered a telescope and a camera and everything. And then I started taking pictures. And then I realized that there wasn't a perfect place on the internet where you could publish these images that could do the things that I thought were needed for this kind of hobby. Especially, I realized that as somebody who was learning, and I didn't know anything at the time, I thought, well, with the equipment that I have, with my telescope, my camera, from my kind of quality of sky, what should I expect? If I have 10 hours of integration time, what should I expect? Is my image any good or not? So what I used to do is that I went on Google and I searched my telescope, my camera, and then the name of the subject, say M81. And I got a bunch of images, but those images weren't necessarily what I was looking for, because people put their equipment in their forum signature. And I would find forum posts where people were talking about something totally different, but they came up because that equipment was in the forum signature. So like the search results were drowned into this noise, and they weren't very useful. So I thought that there would be a need for something that would catalog and index this data in a way that was searchable. That's basically the basic idea behind AstroBin, why I started it. Eventually, over the course of the years, it became more and more of a social platform, because people started asking for more features like comments, like a forum, likes, bookmarks, and so on. So it kind of went that way naturally as I listened to what the community wants. So the what, yes, it's an image hosting platform. You could say in the same way that others are, like Flickr would be the most obvious alternative, but it's unique in the way that it's specifically designed for astrophotography. So it has all the tools that you would need if you are in this hobby. Whereas if you are on Flickr or on other social networks like Facebook or Instagram, never mind talk about compression and these kind of things. If you're on there, you're on a platform that caters to the bigger community of people, basically everybody who has a camera or a camera phone these days, which is everybody. So you're not getting the kind of features that are specific to astrophotography. The why, as I said, to gather and organize and categorize the output of the worldwide astrophotography community. Also from the point of view of keeping the data up for posterity. if you go on Google and you look for something and you find some old forum posts from 12 years ago, that it's very likely that if there's a link in there to some external service, to some external hosting for an image, that might be gone by now, because who knows where that was, maybe some temporary service, some general purpose image hosting website like Imager or these kind of places. Maybe it's gone by now. So I would really, it's important to me that the output of the astrophotography community is preserved long term. For instance, one of the ways that I do this is I don't delete images if you stop paying for, if you stop having a paid account, unless you delete your images or your account yourself because you want to. AstroBin does not delete that, even if you stop paying, because there's value in there for the rest of the community. So I don't hold you hostage to a fee just to keep it up. The how of how AstroBin happens, it's well, besides the volunteers, it's me that I do the whole thing. So it's still a one-man shop. I don't have any employees. I might have one day, but not at the moment. Then there's volunteers for which I'm incredibly grateful. I have volunteers. The bulk is the image of the day selection team, the translators who translate Astro into 13 languages. Some more complete than others, of course, but that's done by volunteers. And the rest just happens on the cloud. I just need a laptop to work on AstroBin, and that's all. The timeline is from 2010 when I started to today. I started coding in November 2012. That's the same year where that I came back from my honeymoon, and then I got some equipment, and then I realized that something was missing. So I started working on that, and I released it in 2011 initially for the first time, and then after that it's just been incrementally really improved all the time. Basically, I went full time in 2021 with AstroBin. So for the first 10 plus years, it was a side job for me. So I was working basically 150% all the time. I would say 100% on my day job, whatever it was at the time, plus at least 50% on AstroBin for 10 years. So it was kind of a slow grind to get where it is right now, but I'm happy how it turned out. This chart that you see here is for the last year, and it shows the number of contributions to the source code, 1046. That means 1046 times that AstroBin was that there was a release, an update on AstroBin. That's an average of 3 a day. That's pretty impressive, in my opinion. Just by myself, I keep improving it all the time, mostly thanks to the feedback from the community that basically drives the roadmap. So yeah. So I'm going to talk about areas of focus for the recent updates. So I split it into these 6 areas of focus, and I'm going to then go to AstroBin live to show some of these things, and I will talk about them. If you have any questions also from the community about any of these topics as I go, maybe it's a good time to ask. Maybe if you know that I'm talking about the equipment and you have a question about the search, maybe hold off a little bit until I get to the search. So this slide is about the recent update, and by recent I mean the last couple of years, and just the most major stuff, of course, because there's, as you said, as you saw, there's like thousands of updates every year. Equipment. So one thing that happened recently is the new equipment database. The reason is that the AstroBin database of equipment, I like it to be very, very organized so that there is no duplicate items. In the past, this was a problem because it was kind of like a free form input where you could type whatever you wanted, but that resulted in duplicate items. So if I added Photoshop and then you added Photoshop 6 and somebody else added Photoshop but with a typo, and somebody else just added Photoshop with a capital S and a capital P, Photoshop, or somebody added it 2 words, there would be many, many entries. That was not ideal, because the search engine, first of all, had to be more flexible and loose with returning search results in order to account for this, so that you would search for Photoshop 1 word and it would return images acquired with Photoshop 2 words, right? But that flexibility also meant that you would get some false positive search results sometimes, because it's it can only be that smart, That would also create islands of data of users. So you would have maybe 1,000 images under Photoshop 1 word, another 1,000 under Photoshop 2 words, and so on. And that made it more difficult to create community around equipment items. How is community created around equipment items? Through equipment forums. So I'm going to exit full screen here, and I'm going to go to AstroBin here. So let's see, if we go to the forums here, you can see that down below here, after the group forums, there's a bunch of equipment forums. These equipment forums here that are listed on the forums homepage are all the forums that have posts in them, but technically every equipment item on AstroBin has a forum associated with it. So if I go to any one of these, I can see all the posts for this specific equipment item. So the Zenith Star 81 here. If I click back to equipment item here, I go back to the equipment database for this item, where I get all the technical details. And I can see that here there's also a section for the forum posts. So let's find something more popular. So if I go to PixInsight here, I can see that it has lots of forum posts, and I can just create a new one here as well. What's the utility for this? It's the fact that I can automatically notify all people who have used that specific equipment item on AstroBin about my forum post. So if I post a topic on the specific forum for a specific equipment item, everybody who has used it on AstroBin gets notified, unless they turn off that specific notification in their settings, of course. But that means that it's easy for me to reach people who might be able to answer that question that I have about that something, which I think it's incredibly useful. In fact, I think it's working really well, because many people are using this. When you go to the forums homepage, for instance, or to the latest topics, and you click on the new topic button, you get this selection here. So it asks you, do you want to post about a specific equipment item? If you say no, you can choose whatever other forum post you want. If you say that yes, you do, then you get the full list of equipment items that you can search. So I go like PixInsight, and then you get it here. You click it, and now you're posting to the PixInsight forum, and everybody who has used PixInsight, meaning has listed it in the technical card of any of their images, they get notified. Let's see what else I have. Thanks to the equipment forum, you can also follow equipment. So let's say I go here to the equipment database, and I click on any of them. I have a follow button, And if I click on that button, I will get notified for every this got stuck here, sorry. I get notified about any images that get uploaded using this specific item. Okay, I will talk more about the equipment database later when I talk about some lesser known features that could be useful. So let's see what else happened. Video support, it's big in my opinion, was asked many times over the years. So let's showcase it. Let's find a video. Let's say Jupiter, usually solar system maybe. Let's go. So this is the search engine. I search for Jupiter. I add a filter, video. So only videos. Yes. Click on search. Now I get only videos of Jupiter. I can click on one. And you can play that. You can play that full screen. Oh. For video files, it's basically it's the same file size limits, which is no limits on Ultimate, unless whatever is the technical limit of what's feasible. I think 4 GB is the bigger video you can upload. No limits on length, I think, so long as the video manages to encode. So let's see. There's let's see how many videos we have so far. It's quite new, so I don't know if we have 7 pages of videos of 35 items per page. Okay. So let's see. New acquisition editor. That's also new recently. If many of you remember that the acquisition details, the acquisition session editors was a bit clunky in the past, because that's one of the oldest features on AstroBin that I remember developing. So it's kind of like stayed a bit clunky for a while. Finally, I could update it. So let's see it in action. When I go to an image and I go to edit and I go to acquisition sessions, I get now this session editors where I can add several sessions with dates, filters, number, and duration, and a bunch of other properties that we can also look in details later when I talk about this a bit more later. Sorry if I'm running through the features. It's lots of them. So if there's any questions at any time, just feel free to ask. So there's a collaborations features that also is recently, maybe from last year. You can now tag collaborators on AstroBin, which means that if you worked on an image together with your friend because you share equipment, because you did some of the work together, you can tag the other person and then everybody appears. So I'm going to showcase it, but showing this nice image that was just uploaded yesterday. These guys from the Deep Sky Collective, they did this image of M31, which is 1,056 hours of integration time. And you can see that there's collaborators here. They did it, in a team. So there's all these people on the right side here. They're listed here. Now, if you go to any of the galleries, the image is there. So everybody who collaborated gets the image in their gallery, even though it's just one person in the team who published it on AstroBin. So this avoids having to repeat the work from everybody. Everybody gets noted. Yes.
So there's a question or two. I think they're about images. Gary M is asking, is there a way to push a 25 megabyte limit or click and drag up to 35 megabytes? Because full sensor cameras have quite a few images at that range.
Yeah, I mean, I can push it to whatever I want. The thing is that we have to try and balance things, because on one hand, I have Gary asking to push that limit, and then if I do that, I will have some people going like, oh, but this drag and zoom is very slow. And I'm like, yeah, it's trying to download a very large image. So as fast as the AstroBin service can be, and this is really as fast as they can be, because this doesn't depend on my skills or how good I am as an engineer or how much money I throw at it. These images, they're just hosted on Amazon Web Services. So when you download it to view it in the click and drag, it just downloads it straight from there. It skips any code that I wrote, right? So it's as fast as the Amazon engineers can make it fast. But still, if it's a large file and then you're on a slower network, it's gonna appear slow. And I don't know what is the right number. Eventually, as we move forward, I tend to increase these numbers because more people have faster internet and so on. But yeah, I could probably do that. Maybe have a better progress bar indicator that explains it. That explains the reason for sure. It's definitely not about money from that point of view in terms of cost of bandwidth. It's just me trying to make sure that I make both sides happy. It's the same thing with the size of the images. Like when you see an image here, this smaller size here, right? Okay, so if you click through, this is a bigger size, and if you go back to the technical card, this is a smaller file size, and AstroBin resizes that, because if this image was 100 megabyte, it doesn't make sense for your computer to download 100 megabyte file size to display it in 600 or 700 pixels, right? So I have to balance these things.
Okay, next question.
Yeah.
Let's see. Could you add a search filter that would only result in images that have plate solving annotations?
I don't remember if I have that. We can check, and if we don't, I can add that fairly easily. No, we don't have that filter, but I can add it. So I don't have pen and paper right now, but whoever asked me, could you email me, and so that I can put it on my list. This is actually fairly easy to do, I believe. So if you ask me that, I can get it done on the same day or day after, because it's fairly easy thing to do.
What more could you want? You want a software feature added, you get the person who writes it on the program and they agree to do it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, as I said, the community drives the development. I have my roadmap, but it comes from your requests, right? I have a lot of people who are sending me feedback and feature requests all the time, and my list is like absolutely huge. So in the end, I prioritize, but it comes from what you guys want, because as you know, AstroBin is a paid platform. So you pay your subscriptions, and that's the majority of the revenue from AstroBin. So I would say it's 80% subscription and 20% ads. So in the end, I like it that way, because I do what the community wants, and I feel that everybody wins.
There's a question about selection of image of the day. You want to hold that question and cover
Let's
it later?
hold it. Yeah, let's
Okay.
hold it, because then I'm going to talk about that a little bit too. I left it last on purpose, because I feel that that's the area that where there might be the most questions. So maybe we run out of time by then.
No,
So
I don't think. I think that's a question that comes up now and again. And Gary, if you could just hold that question, Salvatore is going to get to it. Let's see. How would you say? Well, there are other questions that aren't exactly related. You want me to, that don't seem to have a category. You want them now, or do you want to wait?
Let's hold the questions for each of these maybe 6 areas of focus. So if it's about equipment or images, we can ask them now. Otherwise, maybe we can hold them, unless it's too complicated for you and we want to do them
No,
whatever you want.
No, go ahead. We'll catch up.
Okay. Okay, let's go ahead. Okay, so collaborations, I was talking about the fact that everybody gets notified about likes, about comments, when you are in an image, when you are tagged as a collaborator. You can remove yourself if that's not what you want. Sometimes it can happen that somebody tags you because you put some data online and they tagged you, but you don't want that image to be in your gallery, so you just remove yourself. So in the area of focus of images, also have new subject types this year or last year. Subject types, let's see how I can show you. Let's open an image and pretend to edit. So now we have, that's new, it's noctilucent clouds, landscapes, and I think Northern Lights was maybe also new, but for sure noctilucent lights, clouds, and landscape. Landscape is pretty, where is AstroBin? I lost it. Oh, it's pretty nice, though we don't have that many images yet, because if you have landscape images, maybe go back to AstroBin and edit them so you can specify the correct subject type so they can show up in searches. So it's these kind of images where you have a landscape, but also the sky. And usually people were tagging them as extremely wide field before, because that was the closest thing, or deep sky. But now we have landscape, so maybe that's a better one. Okay. Okay. So in the area of search, so there's a bunch of new filters since recently, in the last couple of years. Let's see if I can find something to showcase. I think there's just so many that I think that your imagination is the limit here. For instance, one thing you could do, okay, I was thinking about this yesterday. Let's say you want to find images of a certain telescope, let's say Skywatcher Quattro 10-inch. Huh? I have landscape still selected, so that's why it's not finding any. Okay, so I have these images from the Skywatcher Quattro, and then I want to see how it behaves on a lightweight mount. So I can look for a mount maximum payload, let's say up to 15 kilograms. So all these images were taken with a Skywatcher Quattro on a mount that has a payload of less than 15 kilograms. So we click on one, and let's say, okay, this one is the HEQ5 Pro, and we can see from the details here that has a payload of 13.7 kilograms. So that kind of gives you an idea, okay, this telescope works with these kind of mounts, like not specifically a certain mount. You might be interested in a range of mount that you're shopping according to some criteria. Same thing, we have filters for the camera pixel size, I believe, the pixel size. I think this is also new. So let's say you want to see how M42 looks with a camera that has up to 5 microns of pixel size. And you get these ones, and then you can click on one, and then you can see which that camera was. Okay, this was the EV scope. Apparently, that has an integrated camera that has a pixel size of 3.75 microns, as you can see from the hover message here. Then, if you're interested, you can follow it. You can ask a question in the forums, and you can go to its page. You can see all the images that are taken with this, and then you can just go through the rabbit hole of keep finding things. Let's see if there's some more advanced search filters that are interested. I think one thing that I added recently, maybe not the Borders dark sky scale, I don't remember if it's recent, But one thing that surely is recent is that is, I think, very useful is the filter type. So let's find all images of M31 that feature any oxygen-3 filter, right? Not a specific one, but any of them. And that's useful because of the arc that was recently discovered. It's taking a bit longer. Let's try again. Filter types O3, and then let's look for M31. Okay, so now all these images here, let's see, you click it, excuse me, and then you see all the filters here, and it was indeed acquired with a oxygen-3 filter. So that's something that I find might be very useful as well. One more thing that I think is very useful, let's go back to the search, is that you can now filter also by images that you bookmarked or that you liked. Let's see if there's any that I bookmarked. There's one image in my bookmarks that has M31 with an oxygen-3 filter that I liked. There's probably more, and so on. You can use this. I think this might be very useful in conjunction with the right ascension and declination filters, because then you can search for images that are high in the sky at this time of the year for you. You still have to do the math yourself, but that could be useful. So let's say declination, right? And then you can filter for anything in that range. Let's remove M31 here, and then we find all images in that declination. We can sort them by the number of likes, for instance, to get some of the better looking ones, and so on. You can just go nuts with these filters, and then you can combine them in any way you want. And I think that's very interesting. I added better performance here. This is just brand new. Last month in February, because I had some performance problems on AstroBin for a few days, and that led me into doing some research and getting some better tools for to analyze performance bottlenecks. So I made a lot of performance improvements, and the search was particularly affected. And it is literally 5 times faster. On average, it used to take 2.5 seconds for search results, and now it takes only half a second on average, according to metrics. So that's a massive win. I think many of you might have noticed in the last few weeks that AstroBin has been much faster than before. One more feature in the search domain is the better catalog matching. So especially for sharpless objects, it's now a bit better at finding matches if you look for sharpless with a dash, without a dash, with the number, 1 word, 2 words, and so on. It tries to be a bit smarter than before to find images for you. Okay, moving on. Galleries.
Before we move on,
yeah,
I'm sorry, questions are piling up, so I am obliged.
All right.
Okay.
Nice.
Can you search by OSC or mono?
Yes. Pretty sure. Let's see. Let's see.
Yes is a good quick answer.
No, because so we have camera type, and no, actually, no, we don't. We can't, because we have just the camera type. But that's another one that's easy to do. That's another one that's extremely easy to do. So again, please send me an email so I remember, and I just get it done quickly, because that's very easy to do.
And I'm sure everyone realizes that you can send email to help right from the AstroBin site.
Yeah, so there's a help button here at the top, and you click on support, and there's a contact form, and you can just write me here, and I answer all of them, usually within hours or on the same day. I have very good stats. I don't want actually ones I published somewhere, but I don't want to find them now because I can't remember where they are. But I have like I think a 4-hour average ticket response time or something like that.
We got a few more questions. Let me go through them
Yes.
for you. Might it be possible to save groups of filters, for example, a specific telescope, camera combination, rather than reconstructing each search?
Okay, so I don't know if I'm understanding the question correctly, but if you want to ask, you want to know if you can search for multiple filters at the same time, or multiple filter types. They would be two different questions. So I think this came because if I go to filter type here, it's just one, right? Yeah.
But Salvatore.
No, it's more than one. See,
Salvatore.
it's more than one.
I think. Go ahead, Alex.
I think what she's asking is, I'm looking for a new camera setup, and I want to see what pictures have been taken with this camera and that mount. And she's finished looking for today, and she wants to save those filters together in one set so that tomorrow when she comes back, she doesn't have to re-enter all the filters and do the same search.
Yeah.
You think that's what it is, Eric?
Yes. Okay. So
that's a good interpretation as any.
Okay, so let's address every interpretation. One interpretation that I had is if you can search for multiple filter types, and you can do that this way. So you just add all of them in here. So now I have all images that have hydrogen and sulfur and oxygen, right? So that's one interpretation. The other interpretation, if you can save your search. Now, if you make a search and then you click on the search button and the results come up, if you look at the URL at the top of your browser, all your search parameters are in there. So if you bookmark this search in your browser and you put it in your bookmarks folder and you give it a name or what have you, you can always click that link and it brings you to that search. So that's kind of comes for free in a way. It comes from your browser. AstroBin doesn't have to do anything. Having said that, because many people don't know this, I am already planning that you might be able to save search and even subscribe to search results. I would really love that you make a search and then you subscribe so that whenever there's a new image that matches that search, you get a notification. That's kind of like if you're house shopping, usually they have this feature.
Okay.
Where you get new listings. Yeah.
Can you use specifically just like a Boolean operator kind of search?
No, not at the moment. When you search for anything so you see all these boxes here that you can close here on the left. All of these, they are ANDed together with the AND operator. So it's this and this and this and this and so on. But everything within one box, it's an OR. So one box is OR, multiple boxes is AND. And yeah, that's a limit in flexibility that would be nice as well to use like a query language with a Boolean operator syntax. But that could be done. So maybe in the future, why not?
Okay. Next question. Is it possible to make add filters sticky? I'm not quite sure what that question is. That is, they are there when I open AstroBin.
In the search page or everywhere?
Not sure.
Yeah. Anyway, it is not possible in the way that it's not implemented. But you can bookmark a search page and then you always start from there.
There's a question about your API. Do you want to address that now or wait?
Let's do that.
Okay. Any plans to improve, extend the AstroBin API? Right now it is read-only. It would be nice to be able to publish images or get a stream of image metadata as they are published.
AstroBin has already a V2 API, so that is used internally, that is read and write, and is much more complete. And it's also better in the way that it identifies, that authenticates the user instead of the app, so that a single user of your app can authenticate to AstroBin through your app or your website, and then be authenticated so that they can access their own content, write and edit their content. This exists, AstroBin uses it internally. It's just undocumented. That's why I haven't really published any information about it. But if you're interested in doing something with that, just get in touch, and I can show you how to use it. You can upload images as well with it, and do pretty much everything, most things that AstroBin can do. I use this internally because, as you noticed, AstroBin. Okay, let's not go into that because it gets technical. It's not interesting. But yeah, there is something, but it's undocumented.
There's been a lot of questions. Alex, are you watching this? Have I missed anything? I take that as a no. I'll keep looking. Okay, go ahead.
All right, then let's carry on.
I think you're caught up, Eric, but we just had 4 fire engines pull up at the house next door with a medical emergency, I think. So I got a little distracted there for a while.
Okay, so next area of focus is the galleries. So something new here in the last couple of years is the Slideshow Viewer. So let's look at that. That actually also works in the search pages, so I can also show it here. So here on the top right, you have a play button, and actually you have also on images, and that's the same on a user's gallery. So if you click it, you get this Slideshow Viewer that you can use to quickly browse images this way. The cool thing is that these links, they work, so especially for the gallery. So let's go, if I go to my gallery, and then I click the slideshow view of my gallery, this link here is shareable, or you can go to the cog here button, to the settings, and then you can get this shareable link. So you can also share a slideshow view of your images. From the slideshow, you can like. I don't have the like button here because it's my own image. Otherwise, you would have. You can see the plate solutions here, and so on. This works here, and it works also on revisions. Let's see if I find one image that has revisions. Okay, this one. You get this down here. If you click on a revision, you get the slideshow view, which you can also zoom, by the way, and drag. So that's one more way to view images. This also works on forums. Let's find a forum topic with images. Let's say this one. So when you click on an image on a forum, you can zoom it that way with this viewer. Now this post only has one image, but if it had more than one, you would have the slideshow viewer with the thumbnails at the bottom, so you could see all of them. It also works on image descriptions. Let's go back to that kilo-hour image because I know that it had images in the image description. So down here, if you click on one, now you get this slideshow view of all the images that are in the image description body of that image. Then next thing, the nested collection, that's also new from I think December or November. This was asked by Gary, which I think is on the chat, or I don't know, I didn't look carefully if it's the same Gary. If it's Gary M, let's go to your galleries, to your gallery. Gary I. So now you can nest collections on AstroBin. So as you know, you can have this view with collections when you can organize your gallery in in whatever topic you want. Like Gary here has galaxies, nebulae, and so on. So if you click on one of the collections, now you can have like child collections, nested collections, so collection within collections. And then you can click more, and then you can go to the image. You can nest as many as you want. You can go 1,000, 1,000,000 deep if you want. It's no matter. You can go as many as the numbers that are possible, basically. Yeah. And if there's no more questions about this topic, we can go to the next, which is subscriptions. I'm going to just talk about this really quickly. So since June last year, we have auto-renewing subscriptions options. So you can subscribe, and then you have the option to set it to auto-renew, so you don't have to do it manually. You have the option to subscribe for a monthly price instead of a yearly price. So that's useful if you're new, you just want to try it out. Then if you don't like it, you're down a couple of bucks, basically, if you just try it for a month or something. There's country-specific pricing also, that's new, because there's many countries that are less fortunate in their economy. So maybe they have a poor exchange rate or high inflation and so on. So AstroBin has adapted its pricing structure so that if you are in a less affluent country, you get a cheaper price, and it's split into 3 tiers according to some World Economic Index that I found. That's public, and then I split into 3 tiers, and the top tier, the top 25%, the top 50%, I think at full price, or I can't remember the percentage exactly, but then the poorest countries, they get 50% off. And the last topic is the image of the day / topics. So what changed there? There's just a few things. There's some stats being released.
Salvatore, before you go
Yep.
past subscription, might be a good time to ask how many active users that you have.
So the active users, including the ones who are not paying anything, is about 15 to 20,000, I would say, depending on how you count active, what's active to you. I use the definition of has done something on the website in the last 6 months, which means maybe a picture, maybe a comment, maybe a forum post, maybe a like, something as simple as that. So that's about the number that we have.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, image of the day stats. Let's see, when you go to any image of the day here, you have this little icon here with the bar chart. If you click it, you get this information that's released about the distribution of awards. So for instance, we can see, so these numbers refer to the last 365 days and are updated daily. So we have, in the last 365 days, we have had 205 distinct image of the day winners, which tells me that it's fairly evenly distributed. I mean, it's not like the same small group of people, but if there's 205 distinct winners in the last 365, 489 distinct topic winners, and 1,126 distinct topic nomination winners. There's a distribution about the subject types, about the data sources, and so on. So you can comment back these, they change on a daily basis. As well as for an individual image. Now, I'm not gonna click on this because I can see this because I'm an admin, but otherwise you can only see this for your own images. It tells you how many votes the image got at every stage, basically, for your own image. You can access this through the info icon here. or if available. Otherwise, it's in the view menu, IOTD TP stats. So for privacy reasons, I'm not going to click on this one because you wouldn't have access except for your own images. Something else that's new in the realm of IOTD is the automatic resubmission. So as the image of the day process is time boxed, as you may know. So an image is entered when you submit it, and then it's in the first stage of the funnel for 48 hours. If it receives enough votes, then it goes on. Otherwise, it's dropped from the system. But what's new now is that if an image wasn't actually viewed by enough staff members during that period of time, and it didn't get enough votes, then it's automatically re-entered into the system to make sure that it gets enough attention, that it's dropped, not because it didn't get enough views, but because it didn't get actively voted. So that's much fairer, because it could be that you submitted at a time when there's lots of other images, or maybe it's a holiday somewhere, so people log in less frequently. So maybe your image should get the chance it deserves. One more thing that I think it's an improvement to the process is that now the staff, they get some feedback for their choices. Every month they get an automated email that tells them some numbers about their activity as staff members of the image of the day. So they get the numbers of images that they promoted and how they did in relation to the rest of the team. So for instance, if you see an image and you omit to promote it, but that image goes on to become image of the day, then that raises the question, why didn't you promote it? Why didn't you like it? So you have this now, as a staff member, you have these numbers to make sure you are in tune with the team, and to understand if there's something that needs addressing. Maybe you don't agree with some of the aesthetics that are trendy at the moment, or you have some other fundamental misunderstanding, could be. So I also look at these numbers, and I may get in touch with somebody if I feel that these numbers, that there's something that needs investigating. I have something new as well. I have made a small change to the life cycle of images in the image of the day process. So before, the image used to get awards as it goes on. So first it will get a topic nomination award, but then if it went on in the process to a further step, it will get the topic and so on. But now the images only get the award when it's final, so when it's out of the process. So this kind of removes some confusion that there might be about this process. And this is also now, this life cycle is published. So if you go to the image of the day FAQ section and you scroll down to the last question, I'm not going to go through this because it's maybe too long to talk about, but if you go there, you can read about the life cycle of images in the image of the day process. And this whole page is about a comprehensive description and up-to-date description of the process. Okay, so I think that this concludes what's new. Now I'm going to quickly go ahead because time is running. So I'm going to talk about some little known features. And again, if there's questions about these topics, just let me know. Okay, so these are some features. Some of them have been on AstroBin forever. Some are new, but I collected these here because sometimes I get questions about, like, is this possible on AstroBin? And it is, and maybe they're harder to find. Maybe they're buried somewhere, so they're in small icons or something. So here they are. So different homepage streams. What is this? When you go to the home page here, you can see these buttons here, the small buttons here on the side. You can, I call these this section the activity stream. So you, by default, you get this view that shows all images that have recent activities. Like there's a new like, there's a new upload, there's a new revision, there's a new comment, and so on. Whenever there's something new happening on an image, that image is bumped to the top of this stream. But you can also see the same thing only for people you follow. So this is called the personal stream. If you click here, so this is the same thing, but only concerning people that I follow. The next button here is just recent images, all the recent uploads. You can see the first one says 26 minutes ago. And this is just all of them chronologically as they were published. And the next one is recent upload from my from the people I follow. You can save your preference here in the settings. It says default front page view, and you can change to any of those that you like. And then the next time you go to the home page, it's just going to be that one that you selected. Next, you can search your like or bookmarks. We mentioned this. I think it's very useful if you use your bookmarks, as many people, to as kind of a way to collect things that you might want to image. So you bookmark them, and then you go to the search page, and you can see that there's a search domain filter here that's on by default. You can search all images, your images, images bookmarked by you, liked by you, by users that you follow, and so on. So that's also maybe little known. Images in the same area button, maybe that's not that little known because the button is very, very prominent, but let's go through it anyway. So when I go to an image and the image is plate solved, I get here this find images in the same area button. So here I have an image of this galaxy, and if I look around, say, a couple of degrees, so now these are all the images that are whose center is 2 degrees from the center, like around the center of my image, if that makes sense. So it's a way to look at what's around that thing, or find similar images, if you will. Next, the slideshow. I already talked about that, but what's maybe a little known is that you can you can have settings from there when you share. So let's say if I have a slideshow here of my images, I have a transition, and I have the option to autoplay. You see the little bar here at the top that's moving. So if I don't touch anything, the slideshow autoplays. So what's cool is that I can go into settings here. I can set, for instance, autoplay on or off. I can turn off transition. I can say put an autoplay speed, let's say 1 second, and then I can apply this. And this is now going to do the thing that I asked it to do. And it's really cool that you can share this, again, using this text here. So you share from the beginning or from the current image with the current settings. So that's a way to that's something that you can do. Let's close this here. Okay, equipment presets, I find to be that very useful. So if I go to any of my images, I go to edit equipment, I can load and save presets with these buttons here at the bottom. I have load presets and save preset. This is useful if you have multiple sets of equipment that you might use. For instance, you could do this with names such as my solar equipment train, or my backyard setup, my home observatory setup, my remote setup. Or if you use remote imaging at rented equipment, you can create presets for those that you frequently use, so that you don't have to, you know, look at things one by one and add them here. So let's say I save this preset as my home preset, my home equipment, let's say 2024, okay? And it's saved. Then I go to a different image. Well, we didn't have to go to a different image, but anyway. And then we go here again. We can load it so that it loads the same equipment items again. So with just one click here, there's going to be the list here. I only have this one here. So if you have many, you can click whatever you want and you can delete it or you can load it. It's going to replace the current selection, sure. And okay, it's probably identical. That's why nothing changed, but that's it. I think it's very useful if you have multiple equipment presets that you can use. Otherwise, you can just quick add recent, and it shows you all the recent ones that you used, or you can click anywhere on a field here, and then you can search the entire database. You can search by free text here, Skywatch or whatever, and so on. Or you can also filter by brand here. So you click on Altair, and then you click on a type, a diameter, and so on. You drill down until you find your telescope, and then you add it. And as usual, because the equipment database is maintained by the community, you can create a new one. It goes through an approval process for reasons, and then it gets added. As you can imagine, there's like, look at how many. There's like 3,300 cameras, 3,800 telescopes, 700 mounts, and so on. So I couldn't possibly maintain myself or hire people to maintain this database. That's why it's a community effort. It's kind of Wikipedia. Maybe once we're there, we can talk about this, because you can edit things yourself, and I encourage you to do it, because this is now all, it's public knowledge. It's going to be preserved. So if you have this camera, you here see that it doesn't have a picture, you can put a picture in there, right? You can upload, you can download it, you can find it, and then you can put it, and then you can create an edit proposal, and somebody else or me will review it. This is very useful in a way that we make sure that this data is like preserved for posterity. We have all the information up to date. Let's say, I don't know, if this link doesn't work anymore, see, okay, this link is broken now. And if you stumble upon this and then you notice that, you can click on the propose edit button, and then you can insert the correct link if you find it, for the benefit of the whole community, basically. Talking about acquisition sessions, little known features. So let's go back to one of my images so I can open the form. So here you can have as many, an infinite amount, well, maybe not infinite because you will destroy the database, but like you can have millions if you want, theoretically, of course. Sessions here. You can do some nice things. For instance, what I usually do, recommend that you do if you're starting from scratch, you add a session, you add some basic data, for instance, the filter, right? And then you just copy paste it multiple times so that you don't have to put the same data over and over again. So that's a quicker way to go, instead of doing one by one. If you figure out things that you have in common, usually in the additional properties here, if you click on the 3 dots menu here, you get this additional properties. So if you know that some things are in common, you don't have to copy them again. So it's every one of these sessions is from border 1, for instance, and it's it was 5 degrees, okay? it has now 2 additional properties here, and I can copy it many times, and these are preserved at every step here, at every acquisition session. You can copy sessions from another one of your images. So if you look for any images of yours, this is going to autocomplete through your images. Let's not wait for this. You can copy the dates. You can copy the local conditions too. So these are not on by default, because AstroBin assumes that if you copy from a different image, you probably are doing this on a different day now. So it's different dates for this specific image, and maybe different local conditions. From a comma separated value, this is documented here. So you can input this kind of list of data that you might have collected. You just copy paste into the form, and then AstroBin prefills everything for you. I think that there's a plugin for Nina that does that. For sure, if you search on the AstroBin forums, you will find something. So that makes it easier.
You added this.
Yeah.
It's made my life so much easier.
Yeah, I have to be honest. I put this off for a long while, because I did get through 2 or 3 requests over the years, but I thought, who's gonna do this? I mean, but then I didn't realize that it could be easy if you're using some automation like that, that you can set up to export these things in a way that's compatible. So it's a time saver if you really have lots and lots of acquisition sessions. It could be a lifesaver.
Yeah, I'm gonna write myself some scripts to if I do it from Nina, it's gonna have all my imaging sessions, but I cull a lot of data, so I'm gonna write a script to use just the images that I ended up using, and go pull from my sky quality meter file and a bunch of other stuff like that. I'm pretty stoked about it.
Yeah. Do we want to go through some questions? I got the first half here done.
The couple of general questions. How much more do you have to cover just that other list on the other side, Salvatore?
No, it's going to take me another 5 or 10 minutes. It's not much.
Okay. A couple of quick questions. Do you have any plans on, let's see, adding a planetarium?
Not a planetarium per se, because I think that AstroBin should be focused on its thing and not do things that is not necessary. There's plenty of planetariums that I couldn't dream of replicating myself. But
Okay,
one thing that I would like is having at least a simple sky browser view where you can see images on a map. For instance, you could have a map view of your search results. That would be nice. Or having something like if you saw this sky map, this heat map of the sky that I released some time ago, it would be really nice to have something like this that's interactive, and then you can see, you can click on an area of the sky and see all the images on AstroBin that are in that area of the sky. That would be nice. But to be honest, my roadmap is like huge. I have lots and lots of items on it. Some of them are high priority. Some of them are like huge tasks. Some of them are smaller. And there's a lot of things that I would like to happen, but it just takes time, because to be honest, I am the bottleneck in AstroBin. Because yeah.
I might have missed a question or two, but someone asked about a live chat.
No, I don't have plans for that, because there's already plenty of options. There's lots of Discords, for instance, and I know that there could be an AstroBin Discord or something embedded on the site. But one thing that I don't like about that is that chats are kind of like write and forget, and AstroBin is more about giving people the ability to find information even after many years, right? Chats have a high noise to information ratio, and I like things that have a nice information to noise ratio. So that's why I also like to have not to have the AstroBin forums very focused, not to have so much off topic, for instance, and not having your favorite soccer team or anything like that on AstroBin, because maybe it's not necessary. So I would like to. I have limited resources, and I want to focus them on the most important things.
All right. So I think I might have missed one or two. I apologize to our group online, but let's let you finish up.
All right. Gallery sorting option, that might also be a little unknown features. So when you go to your gallery, you have the sort button here. You have a few items that are not so frequently used. For instance, the subject type. So now my gallery is going to be automatically classified by subject type: deep sky, solar system, extremely wide. This is a comet, that's why it appears as solar system, and if it looks like a sky picture. Extremely wide field. Okay, I don't have images in that area. Gear, and so on. So you can do that. You can also have that as your default gallery sorting if you want in your settings. Same thing for constellation. AstroBin will automatically group your images by constellations. So these are not all the constellations, but the constellations that I have images in. So let's see, Auriga, and then this is all my images in the Auriga constellations. This is done automatically. It's sort of like a smart collection if you want. What's cool is that you can also click on the constellation up here in the name, and then you get all AstroBin images in these constellations and in this constellation, and you can see that it's here on the side filter. And as usually, you can mix it up with all the filters that you want. You can sort it whatever you want. That's what's the image with the most integration time in Auriga. Who knows? It's this one. Just for fun. Then, okay, compare and filter equipment items. This is also very useful in my opinion. And maybe not everybody knows about them. That if you go to the equipment database, let's go to telescope, for instance. Let's sort by the number of users that have these telescopes so that we get the most popular ones. And let's see, let's compare let's open the Esprit 100 ED. I have this button here that says add to comparison list. So it goes down here. Okay, now let's go back and let's open a different one. Oh, I went actually to the cameras. This random one. Add to compare. Let's have another one. I think you can have up to 5 or 6 because it depends how many fits. Actually, you can do this straight from this view here. You see this button here. Okay. Then you click on the compare button, and then you have all these, all the features, and they're compared. So there's the image, the diameter, and the focal length, and so on. This is very useful, especially I would say. Maybe let's close this. I think maybe it's more useful for cameras because the cameras, they carry on the details of their sensors as well. Oh, yeah, okay, was loading. So you have these two, and then all the technical details you can compare this way. Another thing that could be useful is that when you are on the Equipment Explorer, you can filter equipment by every property of that item. So let's find only the mono camera here. Apply. So these are all the mono camera. Let's add another one, and let's say the mono cameras that are cooled, and so on. And they have a pixel size between 0 and 10, and so on. So this is useful if you want to research equipment. These filters, they're preserved. So if you go away and then you go back, they're still here. So you have to clear if you want to get rid of them. And this is available for all equipment items, including filters. So let's find all hydrogen beta filters with a bandwidth of less than 6 microns. There's just nanometers, sorry, there's just one here. Okay, maybe not everybody knew about this feature. Same thing, equipment most often used with. For every equipment item, oops, sorry, you can see what it's used with. So if we go to the RECCAT, we can see that it's most often used with the ZWO ASI 533 MC Pro. We can click on the More button, and you can see the top 10 equipment items of a different kind that it's most often used with. I think it depends on the type of equipment. So for telescopes, you get cameras and mounts. For mounts, you get telescopes. For cameras, you get filters and telescopes and so on, because it makes more sense, that it's more useful. And you can see how many images there are in common. This is useful because you go like, okay, I have RedCat, for instance. Would it work with this specific camera? Or this mount, for instance, it's most used with the EQ6R. So the fact that there's these many images on AstroBin that it's used with, it's kind of telling that it's a combination that works, or not so many people would have bought it. Okay, one thing that is not very, I get questions quite often, is about customizing the PixInsight annotations. Let's go there. Let's go to my gallery. So the overlay that you get here, that's powered by PixInsight. You can customize this. You can go to Edit, Advanced Plate Solving Settings. So you can set the font size. Everything that's in there is customizable. The equatorial grid, the constellation borders, the lines, showing the stars. You can set a maximum magnitude for the stars, so it doesn't get too crowded. Sometimes images get too crowded by HD catalog stars, so you can limit that, or you can turn it off completely if your annotations gets too busy. Same thing for every catalog. You can turn it on and off as you wish. With AstroBin Ultimate, which is where the advanced PixInsight powered plate solving is available on, you can also upload a sample raw frame to do the plate solving. This is useful if your image, for some reason, won't solve. It's a bit more likely that if you upload a FITS file or an XISF file that's aligned, that's registered against your image, because it's it's linear, it's more likely to perform excuse me, the star detection successfully. So that's also something to keep in mind. One thing that I forgot to put in my slide, now that I think about, that's little known, you can go here to your actions, and then you can upload uncompressed source files, which means this could be your PixInsight, your Photoshop, your TIFF, whatever it is that you want to save for yourself. So this is private. It's not available to others. Only you can download it. If you do it, it gets put down here. You will see it down here, so that you can just save this for safekeeping. Just another place where you can keep it in case you lost it. Starless mouse hover images. This is also something that can be done on AstroBin. As you know, you have you can have image revisions on AstroBin, right? By default, the overlay, the mouse hover on your image is the plate solving, if available, but you can set it to be another revision. You do this, I think, by Edit and then Settings. So it says mouse hover image. Okay, now I don't have any image revisions on that specific image that I clicked, but if I had, you would have like revision B, revision C, revision D listed here, so you could set an image revision to be the mouse hover. So if you have a starless version, you could do that, and then the mouse hover would be a starless version that, or a crop, or, you know, a zoom, so on. The only constraint is that the revisions, they have the same pixel size, pixel number. Okay, I have covered already this equipment forum. No, the equipment forums. Yeah. Yeah, I have covered anyway. So it's the thing where you can notify other people who have used that equipment of your post. This is very useful if you have a technical question, if you have something that's not working on some equipment, and this way you reach the people who own it. And I think it's extremely useful. Yeah, this is everything. I don't have anything anymore. So if there's any more questions, we can talk about it, and as long as you wish.
A couple of quick questions. Isaac was asking, what's the size of the database in your images? It must be like, or is there something besides terabits?
Yeah, it's terabytes. I think it's 20 terabytes or something like that. That includes all the images and all the thumbnails that are automatically generated, all the image revisions, all the rest of the data that's saved on AstroBin in that way. And then there's the database that has the metadata, which would be all the text stuff, like the image descriptions, the comments, everything that's stored, the forums, the likes, and so on. That's shy of 90 gigabytes at the moment.
Yeah. I think that you answered this question about our images compressed. They're resampled, aren't they? Not compressed.
Okay, so let's talk about this, because I think it's very important to understand. AstroBin, I think one of the strengths, and the thing that I say, is that AstroBin does not botch your images, right? It does not compress your images, but that has to happen within reason. I cannot, if you upload a 100 megabyte image like a JPEG that's 100 megabyte, I cannot show that 100 megabyte JPEG as a thumbnail in your gallery together with 30 more. It would be so slow to download, right? So AstroBin resamples your images in multiple sizes depending on where it needs to display those images. So you have the small thumbnail for your gallery. You have like the mid size that's on top of the technical card, which is the first thing that you see when you open an image. Then you click through for the larger size, and then you get this like larger size, which is still resampled. And then you also have the full size, which is not resampled. It's the native pixel size, up to 16,536 pixels per size, because of some memory constraints, because of security reasons. You could do a what's it called, like an image bomb or something. Anyway, so for compression, the little thumbnails in your galleries, they get a little compression because it doesn't matter. It's a small thumbnail, and if it could be like 1 kilobyte instead of 10 kilobytes, it's all good. Nobody's gonna pixel peep on the 100 pixel thumbnail. As the size goes up, AstroBin does less and less compression. So for the mid size, so I'm talking about, let me present again. Okay, so for the mid size, which would be, let's make this smaller. Okay, anyway, the mid size, which would be this one, it has a small compression, I think 85 or 90%. down. So from 100% it's compressed to 85% JPEG or something like that. But this is replaced immediately when your page load. Let's see if we can see it happen. In the top right corner of your image, right here, you will see a loading indicator. Okay, now it doesn't happen because it's cached, so it's super fast. Anyway, so first AstroBin will load a smaller version and then a slightly larger version, and then replace it, like enhancing this one so that maybe you don't even notice. And that one gets even less compression. When you click on this one doesn't have any compression, or AstroBin actually matches the compression that you used when you uploaded your image. So if you uploaded an image that has a 90% compression, AstroBin will match that. And so on. If you look at the full size, this one is not compressed at all. So yes, there is no compression, but there's also no waste in a way that it wouldn't make sense to have no compression on a small thumbnail, if that answers the question.
Do you know how many images you have in total in AstroBin?
Yeah, it's about, we're closing in on 800,000, including revisions, maybe 900,000 including revisions. So maybe 700 plus 200,000. It grows by a rate of about slightly more than 100,000 per year. So maybe we break to 1 million in 2025.
Is there a way to allow the viewers of an image to download the raw data that was used to create it? These are all, I don't think anyone uploads raw data to present, right?
So some years ago, AstroBin did have a raw data platform. For those of you who remember, it was because it would let you upload like terabytes of data if you wanted. It was like priced differently, so you had a different subscription model just to upload your raw data. It had groups so that you could like share these data for others to download and post-process and so on. But it wasn't very successful at the time. Maybe I could try it again in the future because things have changed. AstroBin has grown in popularity, and I believe that at the time I could not price it competitively to things like Google Drive or Dropbox or these kind of things. But maybe it is different now. So I might be able to bring that back in the future. But no, at the moment, AstroBin doesn't offer hosting for raw data that you can share with other people. But you can always put it on Google Drive or these kind of places and just link it on AstroBin. If you go to any image, when you go to edit content, there you can also specify a link to external data. Where is it? Basic information, I think. Okay, link to TIFF fits. I could rename this to be a bit more clear. And then if you have this on Google Drive or Dropbox or whatever, you can put it here. But yeah, at the moment, raw data is not offered in that
Linda
way.
was saying that, is there anything you can say about the new feature you've been hinting at in your monthly emails?
No, I don't want yet. If you know, you know. AstroBin is open source. You can go and dig. You'll find it. You'll find it if you dig through the branches on GitHub. But I've been working on something new now since October, and I have planned since maybe a year before that. I wanted to have it done by March, April, but a couple of things happened that made me waste a bunch of time, especially now if you read the newsletter, because I had some performance trouble in February, and then I started digging down and I discovered that I could do lots of things to improve performance in general. So I started doing that, and basically I lost the entire month of September. But it's coming up nicely. I'm very excited about that. But I hate to to be such a tease because I have mentioned it already in several newsletters now. But let's be patient a little bit longer.
We all like surprises, so we'll be patient.
Yeah.
I think that's
I think you like it, yeah.
If we've missed any questions, apologize. You can always send Salvatore an email from the help menu in AstroBin, and I'm sure he always gets back to you in a very quick period of time. So I think we're all set for questions. Patrick?
All right. Well, this was very helpful, Salvatore, and I learned some new things about AstroBin tonight that I wasn't aware of, features that I hadn't seen, and the site has got a really deep feature set. So it's obvious that you've put a ton of thought into it, and of course also a lot of time. I imagine the number of hours is pretty staggering, but anyway, it's very impressive.
It's the time, especially because AstroBin grew over time. It's now 14 years since I wrote. Well, it's going to be 14 years later this year since I wrote the first line of code, and it's just it's just the time. I estimate that it might be 9,000 or 10,000 hours that I put into it by now. And especially since 2021, because I was able to go full time, even in 2020, because in 2020 I still had a day job, but because of COVID, the company where I was working at, they reduced our workload to 60%, but we were still paid almost in full because the government sorry, I have trouble with that word, subsidized that. So that in 2020 I also could do a lot of much more work than usual, and so that really helps. But in the end, I am still the bottleneck because there's just so much work that I can do.
Well, it's come a long way over these 14 years, as you said, and so your work is paid off. And you'll have to have some kind of little, notification or something when you hit that millionth image. That's you're
cool.
closing in on that. So who gets the millionth?
Who's gonna be the
image,
millionth?
right?
Yeah,
get a T-shirt or something.
Hey, but to be, I think that the millionth image we have passed already. But if we count deleted images.
Oh, okay.
Right.
All right. Well, you can do something to make that a little more noteworthy, I suppose. So, and we certainly appreciate your willingness to get up in the middle of the night and join us for the program. So, 3 a.m. I don't know that I'd be all that coherent. But you did a nice job.
Yeah, maybe
So.
I wasn't. Who says I was?
We stay on after the program ends, and we certainly invite our presenters to stay on, but I suspect maybe you could use a little more sleep, and you don't need to stay.
I will definitely. It's 5, so yeah, I'll go get. I can get like 2 or 3 more hours, so I will definitely go back to bed.
All right. Well, we'll let you get back to bed, and it looks like we got all the questions. So thanks again, Salvatore, and everyone. We will see everyone next week.
Good night.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Good night.
Good night, everyone. Or good morning.
Or good morning.
Or good morning.